Magandang hapon po mga kababayan. We are still here at the OEM in the city of Santa Monica, where this afternoon on Kababayan Today, we are talking about emergency preparedness, which is very much needed in this day and age that we live in. So many threats, correct, Paul?
That's right, that's right.
And Paul earlier from OEM has talked to us about the different areas of their newly renovated facility. Wonderful facility, by the way. But for those of you out there, you know, more from these kits. Every trained volunteer here at OEM, the city of Santa Monica, gets something like this: the vest, the hard hat, and the kit. This kit, what does it have, Paul?
This kit is what we give our CERT members. Our CERT members are our Community Emergency Response Team, and these are trained volunteers of the community from the businesses and the residents that have dedicated about 22 hours to learn how to help themselves and help their neighbors in a disaster. And at their graduation, after their 3-day training, we give them a backpack with emergency search and rescue supplies in there.
All right, let's take a look at what's inside.
Sure. So we've got the helmet as you have on and the vest to identify themselves. We've got some search and rescue knee pads. We've got some gloves so they don't become part of an incident. We always want personal safety to be paramount. We've got goggles in case there's debris around in dusk and things like that. We have a small hand tool. This is good for turning off your gas. If there's some type of gas leak after an earthquake, you do want to turn off your gas, and this will help that. It's also a mini pry bar. We have a flashlight that doesn't need batteries. It's just a hand crank one, and again, you're going to probably want light after a disaster. Right here, this is a dust mask. It's, in case, again, if there's debris and things out there, you want to protect yourself as well. And finally, a light stick. And instead of a flashlight, you want to have light. We expect power to be out after a disaster.
All right. Now, this is the volunteer kit, or the CERT kit.
Correct.
And this one is what you need to have at home. Not exactly this bag, but what's inside. And what do we need? What do we all need to prepare?
Sure. What we recommend is people be prepared for emergencies for up to 7 to 10 days. And one way to start is putting together a little kit like this with 3 or 4 days of food and water. And I'll show you what's in here in a second. This lovely food bar. It's heavier than it needs to be, but this will provide you about 4 days worth of calories.
Oh, yes. Okay, 4 days. Let me first say, when you say 7 to 10 days, why 7 to 10 days?
Well, what we can expect in the next major disaster is power to be out, stores to be closed, and us not being able to access the goods and services we generally do. In our city, what we recommend is people have 3 to 4 days in your car, 3 to 4 days at home, and 3 to 4 days at work. This would be a great backpack for your car. It's got food. It's got water pouches as well. It's got the light stick, as we just recommended here. It's got a multi-tool with a whistle on it, with matches as well. Importantly, a first aid kit. And again, these are things that we just want people to be prepared. It's got the same flashlight as well as the other one, the hand crank one. You'd probably want to add a radio to this as well. And just in case... There is. Think of an emergency backpack blanket here. Okay. And again, these are what you really want to do in your emergency kit is have the things that you need on a day-to-day basis. So if there's special medications that you need, try to have extra prescriptions there. If there are pets in your family, make sure you have some extra pet food. Just think about if the stores and the banks were closed for a number of days, what do you need on a day-to-day basis that you may not have access to?
Now, this is what I will need, warmer, because I always feel cold having lived in a tropical country like the Philippines, so we're not used to the cold, so that one is important. What else do we have here?
That's right. The last little bit is some more cleaning, like a cleansing towel, just, personal sanitary items, some tissues, and again, one more emergency poncho in case it's raining and you're stuck out there in the inclement weather.
I hear also some people would say, a photocopy of your insurance documents in a Ziploc bag so it doesn't get wet and all that.
That's a great point. Some of the other, non-perishable items you'll want are your important paper, your insurance, maybe your medical records if you need that. If you're on special medications, you always want to have some cash. Again, think that the banks may not be working. Checks, credit cards, they may not be in service. Have some cash on hand. Have photos of your pets if they ever get out during a disaster. There's lots of things. Again, think about what you need on a day-to-day basis to survive that you may not have access to.
So, Paul, my question is, if there was a disaster, if a disaster struck, and you had 5 minutes to get whatever you need from the house and vacate the house, what would you take with you?
Well, first of all, I'd hope that I had packed an emergency go bag, which has at least the basics, the food, the water, my important documents, and some money. What I would hope, again, is before the disaster struck, that I had some type of family plan, that I understood how I'm going to get together. I work in Santa Monica. I live in Los Angeles. My wife works in Glendale. My kids go to school in Eagle Rock. So every day we're spread out throughout the county. We know that if there's a disaster, we're going to rally at the post office or we're going to meet at the school. But you have to have a plan. And again, you're going to want to have your important contact information. You're going to want to know that all your information is on your cell phones, and if it's not on your cell phones because they're out of power, you have it somewhere written down in your important document packet.
Wonderful, wonderful tips. And now, as what Paul said earlier, when it's sunny and nice, we don't think about emergency, but we at least need to think about being prepared. Thank you so much for all the tips that you shared with us today.
You're welcome.
And thank you for welcoming us to this facility.
Anytime.
Thank you for joining us today on the show. Sana po marami rin kayong natutunan. Don't forget, do your checklist now and make sure you are prepared.